Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast,
the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman and the president of Dealer Synergy, and I can't wait to announce my guest. I have a super duper guest, and that is Eugene Kyle, Geno Kyle. So Geno, say hello to everybody, brother. Say what's up.
Hey man, how you guys doing?
Yo, stop. Before we go further, he's got to be one of the slickest. I swear to God, he's the Billy D. Williams of this automotive sales training, bro. You are so smooth. I mean, it should be Geno Smooth Kyle. So tell everybody again, where are you at right now? What's your role? What's your title? What you doing?
I am a general manager at Andy Mohr Chevrolet here in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay. So that's what's up. And so before we get into the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast tips, I want you to profile yourself, because in my career, in 21 years, man, I personally trained over 100,000+ automotive professionals. It's crazy, and you still stick out of my mind as one of the most unique, one of the most polished closers and sales managers that I've ever met. So before I kind of blow you up a little bit more to our audience, I want you to kind of just break down, who you are, man. How long you been in the industry? What was your pathway up to GM?
I've been in the automobile industry for 25 years. And I started off just like everybody else, walked into a car dealership, tried to get an interview. The gentleman who had interviewed me told me he didn't think that I had the commitment level or the talent level to be a salesperson. I found someone else to open up a door for me, and then the rest just took off on its own. So I'm no different than anybody else. I'm just a regular car salesperson, but obviously I believe that there was something that I could do in this business, and there were places that I could go. And then after that, I just opened up the doors to believe that, hey, man, if I help enough people get what they want, one day I'll get what I want. And it all came to manifest itself. I've been blessed, and I've been around all the right people in life. I've had guys like you around, and I've just continued to grow myself and move forward from there.
Okay, when you sold cars, can you tell me some of your milestones? When you were on the floor back in the day, how many cars were you averaging on the floor?
When I first started my career off, it was one of those situations where, man, I'm just like everybody else. I was the only person that was standing in my way, didn't have my thinking right, didn't have my mind right. So, 1 month you could sell 14, 15 cars. You get beside yourself, and then the next thing you know, you could cut yourself in half. But I mean, it was just through self-development and self-improvement. It just helped me enhance my overall performance overall. So, I mean, you're talking about some months, my best month was maybe 25 cars a month. But at that point in time, you need to recognize, I was more about writing a lot of gross as pushing a lot of volume.
Okay, so the biggest month you said volume-wise was 25. That was it? 25 units was the number one. And what about gross? What type of numbers you put on the board on gross?
Oh, I mean, man, you're talking about maybe $17,000, $18,000 a month in income.
In income? Damn. That's the millionaire car salesman I'm talking about.
And you got to remember, you're talking about, I was nowhere near as polished as a lot of these guys that you find in the industry today. I mean, you have some gentlemen that are in the business right now, some ladies and gentlemen that are in the business right now. They're professional business people who use the automobile industry to catapult and move themselves forward. And as far as income is concerned, the sky is the limit right now. Some of the people that you and I have discussions about, the performance that they put forth and the money that they can make it's staggering. So, the sky is the limit.
Okay, so let's talk about that right there. In your career, so you put stupid numbers up. Damn, brother, $17,000 in personal income in a month is strong. What about what you've seen, whether you've mentored them or they just work with you, like both volume and gross? What would you say that you've seen, like, that's capable? How many units have you seen a car salesman or car saleswoman, generate, and what type of grosses they throw up in a month?
I've personally trained car salespeople that I wanted to give them everything that I never have and everything that I never was at that particular point in time. So it's almost as if when I found that certain recipe that would allow someone to elevate their thinking, thus in turn their performance, I've got 4 or 5 salespeople that have hit over 36 to 40 cars a month, period.
Damn, that's what I'm talking about. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please don't apologize. So here's why I've been dying for this interview, because not only are you a general manager and not only are you a strong automotive professional, but you are a trainer. Because there's a lot of people that are skilled, but they don't have that particular skill set that they could articulate, convey information to somebody where somebody could comprehend, internalize, and utilize what they've said. See, brother, I think you're blessed. Like, you were put on this planet to help people. You know what I'm saying? So I've watched people flourish under your command. So with that being said, let's go through some stuff here. What do you think the biggest challenges are for automotive professionals on the floor? What do you think stops them, besides their own worst enemy? I got that. But like, what do you think holds them back from unleashing the beast and selling 30, 40 cars a month on average instead of just doing 9 or 10?
I think the thing about it is you have to step outside the realm of what you're seeing every day and then grasp hold of what you truly can become if you can wrap your thoughts around it. I've had salespeople like Troy Fox, 36, 37 cars in a month. Josh Cohen, 39 cars a month. Chris Potter, 41 cars a month. I mean, these guys are extraordinarily talented. And when I had spoken to them about what I believed their potential was to be, they looked at me like I was crazy. But after that, when they wrapped their minds around it and they had been given the blueprint on how to get there, there's no telling what you can do right now. And with the power of social media and the internet and thinking about the fact that anyone who's entertaining buying anything, their business starts on their telephone, there's no reason behind why a guy shouldn't enter into the industry, commit himself, train himself, dedicate himself to who he wants to be. There's no reason why you shouldn't sell 20 to 25 cars a month. You got to remember, I got into the business, there was no internet, just to show you how old I am, right? I mean, right now in this era that the industry is in, I mean, if you're going to be in this business and you're going to be committed to it, come on, man. I mean, 25, 30, 35 cars a month, those are reachable and attainable goals if you find the right blueprint.
I love it. All right, so let's keep it moving on here. So since this is about money and making money, what do you feel are the keys to making gross with a prospect?
Training. You have to train. And then you have to put yourself in the shoes of the person with whom you're dealing with. And you need to better understand that person as well. And the only way that you're going to do that is obviously by sitting down with that client and then the road to the sale and what it is in its realm today. You have to sit down and you have to have the ability to qualify people, do a needs assessment. And from that assessment, you're only going to do the best job, not only for your income, but for your customer. You can't put your check before you put your customer. Does that make sense?
1,000%. So
it's 100% about your client, man, and understanding their needs and what brought them in.
So 100%. So let's go back to that first part when you said about the road to the sale. Sometimes, people skip the steps. I personally believe that if you skip the steps, if you don't do a full features and benefit walk around presentation, you can't build as much value. If you skip the step of doing a test drive, you can't build as much value. So do you agree that it is imperative that you are consistent with the complete road to the sale, not the sporadic road to the sale?
It's one of these situations where, what's that adage Bruce Lee says, I'm not afraid of a man that can throw 10,000 kicks 10,000 different ways. I'm worried about the man who can throw one kick 10,000 times.
Yes.
If you deviate from the discipline that's got all of us where we need to be, you're going to start missing things that are going to be crucial, and they're going to have a devastating impact on your income. You have to think about it. Something has to be performed the exact same way, hundreds of thousands of times, in order for you to really, truly open up and understand the impact of what it is you're not doing, as well as the things you like to do. Like you'll hear some people that'll tell you, well, I'm not very good at a walk around. Well, then that should be the first thing that you're training on every day when you come to work.
Amen.
You know what I mean? If you're not good at qualifying and doing a great needs assessment for your customer, you'll always put a person on too much car. Thus, in turn, they can't afford the payment. Thus, in turn, there goes your sale. So being able to sit down and connect with your client, believe it or not, being able to do that consistently, hundreds of thousands of times the exact same way, and then following that same process, that's what's going to lift you to that level of a 25, 35, 45 car a month car salesperson.
Let's speak about the qualification. Dr. Covey says from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, seek first to understand and then
be understood.
Word. And then NADA says the number one reason why people don't buy a car is because they're landed on the wrong car. And that's because, to your point, they're not qualifying them properly. And here's one of this right here, the next part, folks that are listening to this podcast, pay attention. If you're driving, don't look off the road, but pay attention to what's about to happen, because Geno doesn't even know. Geno's about that life. And what does that mean? He's about it whenever. That's how you know you have a true automotive professional. So Geno, let's just go back to, let's take it back to this video that's up here, how we did back in the day. Let's role play. Let's say I just walked into your dealership, you upped me and you properly did the greeting and you brought me to, your desk, if that's your process, and you start the qualification process. So I'm an up. My name is Sean Bradley. You just did the greeting. How would you recommend that you actually start the qualification process? The fact finding. What are some questions? Or let's go into it.
Well, let's just start with the fact that you have goals and objectives that you need to have met, and it's my job to make sure that they get met. So what I'd like to do is sit down with you and spend about 10 or 15 minutes over what it is that brought you in, why is it so important to you, and then we can all both get on the same page, because this is going to make the transition a lot smoother for you.
Makes sense to me. Okay, so what type of questions can I answer for you, Geno?
Well, obviously, the vehicle, was there a particular vehicle of interest that brought you in? Because 9 times out of 10, we recognize that probably 87 to 93% of all transactions start online. So was the vehicle that you were looking for, did you already have that on your phone? Or is there certain criteria that you want to have met that I can help you with?
Well, no, you're absolutely right. I was on this website, Cars Direct, and I saw a 2020 Chevy Cruze LTZ, and it's a nice, smaller car. I don't need something too big, but something that's got, 4 doors.
Okay. Did you prefer a lighter or a darker color?
I prefer darker, but color is not the number one thing. As long as it's not like green or blue or something crazy like that, I'm good.
Okay. And then obviously financially, I need to be respectful of the amount of money you want to spend or the price that you want to buy a car for. So did you already have that arranged, or did you prefer we do the financing as well?
Well, I saw on the ad that you have special, rates. I don't know if it was, 1% or 0% or have you. Is there any 0% financing right now?
There's a possibility that those things are available, and I can assist you with that. More importantly than that, I want to make sure that the car that you're looking for is in my inventory and I can put it in front of you. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
So in being able to assess that, knowing that the car is in my inventory that they have interest in, and then more importantly than anything else, I don't want to put the financial aspect of the entire car deal before the deal itself, because there's a lot of selling that needs to take place, the installation of value after the fact. But I do want to get on the same page with my client, because they are my client, and until I can help them get their needs met, mine won't be met. Does that make sense?
1,000%. And here's the thing, a lot of people that don't qualify the right way, they might be running around the lot in a vehicle that this person cannot qualify for, and you're wasting time. And sometimes when you show them the stars and the moon and then they can't get approved or can't qualify for that vehicle, it's kind of counterproductive, counterintuitive, for the overall road to the sale. Would you agree?
Well, let's just call it for what it is. A lot of times, more so than not, we can wound their pride.
Word. Yes. And what's crazy, Geno, oh man, I love this. This is fire information, because think about this. This is what NADA says. The average in-market prospect only visits 1.2 rooftops. What will happen is, let's just say that a salesperson didn't properly qualify that prospect. And like you said, if you wound somebody's pride, man or woman, doesn't matter. If you wound somebody's pride, even they know what you're saying is real and it's realistic, they might just leave because their pride is wounded, and they'll go to a lesser dealership, the next one, and get spotted on the vehicle they can. can qualify for because their pride wasn't butchered. They know what they're walking into, et cetera. Can you talk about that, how it's important to control the environment while they're at your dealership? Because if you let them out in a situation like that where their pride is wounded, then they might not ever come back. Would you agree?
I agree with that 100%. And here's the thing about it. We live in an information era right now. So to deliver a person the wrong information relative to what they want to buy, it takes a huge strike at their confidence in you in the performance of your job. Why didn't we just take the necessary time from the get-go to get on the same page before we move forward? Does that make sense?
1,000%.
Because to think about the fact, if you were thinking $300 a month, we already know, out of respect for the amount of money you want to spend, Mr. Bradley, it only buys so much car. So for that amount of money, for $300 a month, you'll get into an LS-equipped Chevy Cruze that has this, and this. However, to get you everything you want, if you can be a little bit flexible, you can step into an LTZ, you'll have the wheels, you'll have the leather, you'll have the roof, you'll have the Bluetooth, you'll have the MyLink, you'll have the 8-way power seat on the driver and passenger side, and that'll be right around this amount of money right here. Is that something you're comfortable with to get everything you want? And then once you jump on the same page, to be quite honest with you, a lot of times with an experienced salesperson, that sometimes cements your deal together. It's almost like the mortar, the mortar between two bricks, that once we get on the same page, it's a whole lot easier for us to go somewhere with one another. And the closing process isn't as intense or uncomfortable as it used to be in the past.
Man, that is very powerful. Okay, so let's go through a couple little basic ones. I'm going to throw some softball under, not over the head throws, like under the arm throws to you. This is just stuff for starters. Okay, let's just say that I go to engage somebody in the lot and they say, I'm just looking. How do you handle that?
Okay, great. Are you looking for something new, something used, something you found online, or are you just looking for a good deal? I can help you either way.
Okay, that's a great response, and I think that like a big number of people will take that speed bump. Let's just go a little more difficult. If they turn around and say, "No, I'm looking for you just to leave me alone for a little bit," or "I'm looking for you just to give me a little space. I don't know what I want right now." So let's just say you say what you just said, but they push back and say, "No, I'm good. Just give me some space."
Well, could I at least point you in the right direction so you can look on your own until you feel that there's a need for me to get involved?
I love it. So do you see that, folks, listeners? Do you hear that? You don't turn around and retreat like you're doing something wrong. You don't put your tail between your legs. You be professional and you try to guide the prospect. Walk them through psychologically why you didn't just retreat and run away.
It's not an option for you not to buy from me. That was never an option. If you ever noticed in the 6 to 7 years we've been interacting with one another, you not buying a car from me has never been an option.
Exactly.
If you're in the market to look for a car and then you pull it onto my lot and I am here to assist you and help you, how do I know you're not here looking until you find what you came to buy? And once you find it, then you're ready for me. Does that make sense?
Yes. And it's like chess, man. It's like sports, like especially when you're at the championship game, a lot of it is mindset. If you go into a championship, game or a round or whatever, and you don't feel that you are going to win, you know what I mean? You could psych yourself out. Like that's exactly it. You always got to believe that somebody wants to buy a car today. And it is our job to build a rapport, to qualify them, identify their wants, wishes, expectations, meet them and exceed them and sell an automobile. The second that we turn on and give up and let them just roam around and do what have you, we should turn around and change careers. Because if you're performance-based, if you're commission-based, you've got to be about selling. Would you agree?
Well, hey, man, if it's in you, please continue. That's the way I've always looked at it. So you need to understand something. And let's just, like you said before, let's slow it down and let me give you an underhanded pitch here, right? In the conversations that you and I have had over the last 6 years, if I picked up the phone and called you and asked you what you're doing, what's your first knee-jerk reaction? What's your first knee-jerk response? Nothing. I'm not doing nothing. Right? So if you went somewhere to buy something, whether it be a department store, a furniture store, a clothing store, a car dealership, and someone approached you and they asked you, can I help you? The first knee-jerk response you have is, well, hold on for a second. I'm just looking. But look into that simple response a little bit deeper. Look at it. I'm looking for what I came here to buy.
Yes.
And when I find it, then I'll need you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So here's the way I look at it. Of course you're looking. You're looking for the car you came here to buy, and I'm going to help you find it. So even if you don't need my assistance as of yet, why don't you let me point you in the right direction so you can find what you came here to see? I mean, it's all a mindset.
Right.
It's just your mindset. And only through training and repetition and our belief in who we are in terms of just not only selling cars and product knowledge, but our own self-development will we one day find that within ourselves that, no, if you came here to buy something, I'm going to be the one to sell it to you, and there is nothing else. It's not being pushy, but it's obviously being able to look deeper than what the words that are being said to you and understand that they're here to accomplish something, and I'm going to hang in there with you until you find it. That's not being pushy.
Right on. Okay, I want to transition to what we talked about before this started. Let's talk about our man, Ali Rada, right? We just
incredible talent in the game, man. Incredible talent.
It's absolutely crazy. So let me try to find this right here. I just posted this, but because it's different for you because he represents your brand, Chevy's, he is the number one Chevy salesperson in the world. So as a general manager, you just told me that your team went to some workshop and he came up. But what's that like when the average salesperson in the United States only averages 9.6 cars? And look at these stats. Ali sold 1,580 units in 1 year. That's 131 units a month for the entire year. He sold 202 cars in December. Actually, not in a whole month, not in 31 days. In 18 days, he sold 202 cars. And literally just last week on January 2nd, this man sold 32 cars in 1 day. So now as a 25-year veteran and also a general manager of Chevy, and this guy represents Chevy, what is that like for you when you see opportunity? Like, what is that like to inspire you so you can inspire your team? Talk me through this.
Well, first of all, does he need another job? Because I'd hire him.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? I think.
No, I'm telling you, you got to watch that because we're on a podcast that's international. I think if his dealership had heard you know that, they turn on some of the goons out for you.
Hey,
they got to get rid of him.
But you know what? For a guy that can deliver 1,580 cars in a year, you can go ahead and send him after me. He's worth the risk. What I would say to you is this. I think that Ali Rada, it makes no difference what he'd be doing in life. He'd be successful. It makes no difference.
Facts.
You know what I mean? I think the fact of what he's selling isn't as important as the frame of mind that he holds about what he's doing.
Right.
And this man has truly embraced the best side of who he could be. And from that standpoint, it leads to 1,580 units in 2017, 202 units in 2018, and harboring the thought process that will enable him to get to 32 units in a day. I mean, those are staggering numbers. But, man, I think what it does is this. It just shows you the impact and the power of a person's thoughts and their belief system and who they can be and what they can do. That's what it's all about, man. Our industry is about achieving. It's about attaining goals. It's about getting to the next page for you as an individual. And really that's what it is with me, with my guys. My job and my responsibility is to help lift the thoughts of the people that are underneath me. And I hold myself responsible to making sure that they can attain those goals. But man, he's an incredible sales force all himself.
Geno, look what he wrote here. He just wrote this 16 hours ago. He said, he remembers in 2010, he was only averaging 30 units a month. Oh my God, I can't even believe I said only averaging 30 units a month, but he was averaging in 2010, 10 years ago, probably a little bit less than 10 years ago, he was only averaging 30 units a month. So in 10 years, he added 100 units a month extra. And you know what he said? And this is, I've got to know Ali for several years now. And Ali's trained my daughter. Tiana, when she got into the car industry, he did a couple one-on-one training sessions with her.
Wow.
And he said that the single biggest thing is that changed from 30 cars to 70 cars to 80 to 100 is when he took the safety off. Meaning like, most people stop in our industry at 30. 30 is where you think that you are badass and you are it. You know what I mean? Like that's the amazing, you did it, you've arrived status as a 30 car guy, 30 car girl. But what he said is that when he first started believing that it was possible, it was even, theoretically, possible that you could sell 60 or 70, when his mindset changed, boom, then he was able to turn on and start getting to those units. And he's like, well, wait a minute, I'm now averaging 70. Hell, if I could do 70 cars, you know what I mean? I think I'm capable of doing 100. And then that's how it's been. And he said that it's literally been mindset, because he was always a great salesperson and he was always a great people person, but he was his own cap. He was his own restriction. And I think most people never, ever fathom that they're capable of that.
Well, I mean, isn't that a characteristic of that separates the successful people from being average?
Absolutely. And I wanted to say this on record, and because I don't know if you know him, but I'm looking forward to personally introducing you guys. Ali is a beautiful human being. He is the most humble. And I think I'm great, but I'm definitely not humble. That's not a vocabulary word you'd hear me talk about describing myself. You know what I mean? Like I'm a promoter and I'm Sean Bradley, but Ali is just so humble and so gracious. And even though he's selling all these cars, look at what he's doing. He doesn't make any money on this stuff. He doesn't need it. He's really got a passion for the industry. He's really wants to help people. And the word is altruism. He's a truly altruistic human being. And that's what really inspires me, because, if you're into sports, whether it's Michael Jordan, LeBron James, it's Carson Wentz, whatever it is you got heroes. For me, I'm a car guy. Ali is like my Michael Jordan. He's like my Batman, but he's real and he's in our industry. I think that he gives our industry, something that we could aspire to. We might not all make it to the Ali Rated level, but hell, we might be able to hit 50, 60, 70. You feel where I'm coming from?
Well, man, I think you said something earlier in your description of him as a person. Okay. And I've been around you for 7 years, but I think the key thing to it all is humility, that you don't know what you don't know, and knowing and understanding that once you attain one level, having enough humility to say that, you know what, I can reach a little bit further. I may not jump a mile, but I can gain that inch. Man, it takes a lot of, you have to really look inside yourself to tell yourself that I'm not good enough. I can be better. And this is what it's going to take. And I'm willing to pay the price to do it. It's just like a goal, right? Everybody wants to try on that Tom Ford suit. And then you look at the price tag and recognize that you're not prepared to pay the price. He's prepared to pay that price. And I mean, I've got a ton of respect for people like that in life, man, because once you get to a certain level in life and then recognize that the only way you're going to get to the next page is to take who you are apart and then build yourself back up again and reinvent yourself. It takes a lot of self-confidence, but it takes even more humility to do that. So, I mean, when you're talking about him as an individual, those key words that you said to me, they ring loud with me. So now it doesn't surprise me that he's attained goals like that, man. I mean, you've got to have some humility if you want to get somewhere with it. That's the way I feel anyway. And I may be wrong. It's just my personal opinion. But, I mean, in order for you to keep reaching, you got to give up the go up too.
Absolutely. And that's the whole thing. He goes into a room, whether it's this is his whole aura. He tries to just lift people up and just be a great person. You know what I'm saying? And if we believe what we preach, that car sales is a relationship business, if you get people to like you, trust you, and believe you altruistically, not because wink, wink, they're going to buy from you, but if you're really about it like that, that's his whole, he really lives his philosophy about relationship selling. That's what he says. His success, and here's something I'm going to tell you, which I didn't agree with, but how do you deny somebody like Ali? You're not going to believe this. He doesn't pay any bird dogs. I've never heard of that in my life. You know what I mean? Like he does not turn around and say, look, if you refer somebody to me, I'll pay you $50, $100, $200. I know a lot of people that generate a lot of referrals, and because they've got $200, $300 bird dogs, he gets all these people to refer a massive amount of people to him just because of the experience and the kindness. That in itself blows me away, and it shows just the human being that he is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, man, if you do it right and it's sincere and it comes from the heart, when I send you someone,
yes,
I don't need anything back for that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I want people to know that I've dealt with someone like you, and in their best interest, I'm going to send you to him because it's in your best interest as well. Does that make sense too?
Absolutely, 100%.
So, I mean, this guy just does not, he doesn't surprise me at all in regards to what he's been able to achieve, man. I mean, just an incredible person to get to that level, period.
Yes. So let's transition, okay? Because this is an amazing. Do you see how we're flowing? This is not scripted. Yeah, I mean, you didn't even know you were doing an interview today. I just texted you, and you're like, "Boom, let's do this."
Well,
okay.
me and you've been like that for years anyway. So this is just a normal phone call between Sean and Geno anyway. So it is what it is. I mean, Facts. They just know us.
Facts. Okay, let's talk about that money, okay? And because we've both been you've been in it a little bit longer than me. I've been in 21 years, you're 25 years. And when you get into this life, there's sometimes you're going to get a paycheck where it's fat and you feel like you hit the lottery. What advice do you have to be fiscally responsible? Because let me go into this whole podcast, the Millionaire Car Salesman, the whole group is my vision that I believe that everybody in the automotive industry truly has the opportunity to become a millionaire, because most millionaires do not make millions of dollars a year. They only make $100,000, $200,000 a year, but they're fiscally responsible. They know how to invest their money, and they know how to get their money to work for them. So my question to you is, you have a lot of young people under you, meaning not just young in age, but young in experience,
right.
Money. What advice do you give them on what should they be investing in with their money that they're earning, and what not to?
I think the thing about it is this. When I was growing up in the automobile industry, an automobile salesperson only thought as far as their next paycheck, which is really a 7 to 8 day mentality. You know what I mean? If you get paid every week, it's a 7 to 8 day mentality. You get a check on Friday, you're broke on Monday, you're grinding all week long to get another one, right?
Yes.
Here's the situation. These guys in this generation of the automobile industry, I think as leaders, we have a responsibility to teach these guys to not just sell cars, but how to live the right life. We need to start teaching these guys life skills. You need to understand something. Your first 2 to 3 years in the business, no, don't go out and buy the S550. No, don't go out and buy the $500,000 home. Invest in yourself. Understand that it's only until you got broke that your frame of mind fell apart. But as long as you had money in the bank and you were comfortable and you could see that nest egg growing, that your confidence began to harbor just like the interest that was accruing on the money that you had in the bank. So, I mean, you can't look at things like a professional athlete that gets a $4 million signing bonus and then by the end of their career, they're bankrupt. It's strange that we see that in the sales profession, just as well as professional athletics, by the time we retire, we have nothing. I don't know about you. I'm not leaving the game in that position. And if you are selling cars and you believe that you have what it takes, then you should believe in yourself to want to put money back and invest in yourself. And if that means, hey, as opposed to going out and buying a $100,000 car, maybe you can go out and buy a $100,000 property for 20 years down the line. Those are the things you need to do. But the biggest thing in this next generation is you need to flip the script on what we've seen as far as car salespeople in the past. You've got to put that money up. You've got to save it. You've got to save more than you spend, in my opinion.
I agree. And you said something, invest in yourself. Here's the thing is, we work with Cardone. Grant is also, let me kind of throw him up here, because this to me is just an amazing, amazing story. Here's a true car guy that is going to be a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? So for Grant to do what he's done. And I'm going to be at 10X. I don't know if you're going, Geno, but in Vegas, I'm going to be VIP up in February at Mandalay Bay. I just booked all my stuff up today. Is that, try to imagine this dude is sitting on $1.5 billion of real estate from Cardone Capital. And look at this. I'm just saying this for a point. He's got Kevin Hart. He's got he's got Rick Ross. He's got Magic Johnson just to hang out with him. You know, it's insane. But because you can be anything that you choose to be in this world and today, if you take that money and invest it in yourself, Cardone says 3 things. First thing you should invest in is yourself. That's with training, education, conferences, networking, building your own brand, etc. The second thing is invest in your business. And I don't know if you've seen this. Have you been following my daughter, how she's got the T Got Your Keys website and whatnot? Are you familiar with this?
You know, I've watched I've been following you on Facebook and I've seen her pop up a lot of times, man.
Yeah.
And, I think it's incredible what she's doing and more importantly, where she's going. You know what I mean?
And so this is what I'm talking about. A salesperson, in my opinion, needs to invest in themselves. Whether the dealership does or doesn't do training, there's free things out there. You could go to the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. You could go to the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast that you're listening to right now. But then there's YouTube. There's YouTube videos. Look at this. Speaking of YouTube videos, let's go back to this. This video went it's crazy. Geno, let's talk about this video. We shot this video 6 years ago. It's got almost 60,000 views. How many people across the industry have talked to you about this video that you shot just randomly when I was at your dealership 6 years ago?
It's and the unbelievable thing about it is people don't recognize me and you shot that video off the hip.
Yes.
We never really sat down and chopped it up about the content of what it was going to be or, hey man, this is what I'm going to say next. I mean, really, that was just off the cuff. It really was, man. And, I was getting phone calls at about 11 o'clock at night. My wife was thinking something other than what it was. But when I started answering the phone on speakerphone and she was saying oh my God, it's car salespeople calling you, asking you about this video. And when the next one was coming out, I knew that, hey, wait a minute. What we done was helping a lot of people. It really has. So I felt good about that, man. I really did.
So that's what I'm talking about is that when I say invest in yourself, it doesn't mean that you have to spend money because, you might come into the industry, you don't have money yet and you're trying to build, but you have time. You could invest by Google, YouTube, etc. But once you've done that, once you've invested in yourself and you are leveling up and you are making money, then you need to invest in your own business, your own brand. Do you have some ideas? Like my daughter she works at a Buick GMC Chevy dealership, Patriot, and, she basically has her own website. She does Facebook ads.
Come on, man.
And I don't know if you heard the story, but Geno, you got to see this, man, because we haven't had this conversation. Watch this in the group, and you can show this in one of your sales meetings. I'm going to show you something in units right here. You go in, and we're going to find T Got Your Keys because I want you to see this because this is mind-blowing, brother. This is mind-blowing. My daughter has got a girlfriend. She's in the LGBT community, and so what she did is she spent $400 in December, and she basically, look at this right here, okay? She did this ad. This is the actual ad. This is it right here. Wow. It says, hi.
I've seen that ad. You know that, right?
Say again?
You know I've seen that ad, right?
Yes. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So she did this ad. Now watch what happens, okay? I want you to hear it from my daughter's own mouth, folks. Listen to this. I don't know if you can hear it because we're on the Zoom. So what she just says right here, Geno, is she said, folks, I just wanted to let you know that I'm so excited. I sold a car off of the Facebook ad. Can you believe it? This woman drove an hour and a half away to buy a used car because of a $6 ad, a Facebook targeted ad on Facebook towards the LGBT community. Isn't that crazy?
Hey, man. Let me help you out with something. If you're not on Facebook here marketing yourself, you can't work for me.
Word. Oh, speak to him. Yes.
You can't. Here, one of the things that I ask you when we interview you here in my store is what's your social media presence and what's your knowledge of it? So, I mean, you can't be, that's a crucial variable in me hiring you. It is. We've trimmed thousands of dollars off of our advertising because of what we do through Facebook alone.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you right now. I mean, it's pennies on the dollar, but it feeds us well here. But as far as like my salespeople are concerned, yeah, you better be on Facebook. You better be in social media. You better be practicing that as part of being in the industry now, because it's not about who's in the showroom floor with you. It's about how many people you're reaching out to that can learn about you and understand you and where you're at and what you're doing.
Mm. Well, Geno, here's this, man, because I could talk to you forever, you know what I mean? But you are busy, you're a general manager, you're selling cars, and it's the middle of the week, man. It's 4:21 East Coast time here. But I want you to freestyle. I want you to just understand that this is truly an international podcast. I've had people from all over the world, from Europe, from Africa, not even exaggerating, from Ireland, from South America, but mostly in the continental United States. I even had a dealer sign up with us from Anchorage, Alaska. It's a Lithia store, part of a major dealer group because of this podcast. So you think that YouTube video went crazy. This podcast is about to go through Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, whatnot. And then we're also going to play this in the group. So I want you to know that this is your time. I want you to just give some feedback. Take those 25 years and what would you like to impart to the automotive professionals listening to this podcast?
If anything else, the only thing that reigns in my mind on a day-to-day basis before I come in is this. And it's one of my favorite quotes. It's that a man can only rise, conquer, and achieve by first lifting up his thoughts. They themselves are makers of themselves. Your mind is the master weaver. And you need to understand something, that everything that you have today and everything that you have tomorrow is going to be about the thoughts that you harbor about what you can have in your life. And as long as you're not defeating those thoughts and you have a lot of faith in who you can become, and then you're going to put the work behind it and then decide that you're going to pay the price to get it, that's the only way you're going to get there. And quit expecting the whole world to hug you on your way to your success in life. I mean, you've got to be prepared to get your ass kicked to get to where you want to be. But the key is never giving up.
Man, this is a gentleman that started in showroom sales to becoming a general manager of a major organization in Indiana, in the country. And so this is honestly a privilege to be able to do this interview with Geno. Thank you so much for your time. And again, folks, you hear this, you better rewind this shit on your car, on a plane, train, whatever it is, because there's some knowledge bombs right here.
This isn't over between me and you, man. I mean, this hasn't been hanging out here for 7 years for no reason, dog. I mean, we'll be getting together again. Believe me when I tell you, but the next page that you and I will be together on, I'm telling you, it will take off.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like it, you love it, you want more of it, then don't wait for the next money show. Just go to bradleyondemand.com and take your career to the next level.